Right, so this was meant to be a pop-up around the room, but we've decided to do it on the stage. So I'm going to go in this order, if this is okay. Matt, do you want to give us your view from the top on what you're doing for ESG or what the industry should be doing more of?
The view from the top, I did my presentation on...
Have you got slides?
Yes.
All right, okay.
I think Shivani, hopefully there's some slides. So first of all, thank you for inviting me to come and talk again. Congratulations on the event. I'm very happy to be a ESG ambassador for GSA. Although I need to state I'm by far the least expert in terms of ESG of the ADEC team that are here. So if you've got questions on ESG and sustainability, then Christina, Marielle and Ben are here somewhere. So by all means speak to me, but also speak to my colleagues. ADEC Innovations, there's a broad range of things we do with ESG. So it's kind of the first thing was, well, what are we going to talk about? On the one hand, we have one division of ADEC is ADEC Business Services. That's what I'm responsible for. We do various things, BPO, that's really my background, CX, IT services. That's where we started as a BPO company in Manila. On the other hand, we have ADEC Impact Solutions, and that's really the ESG side of the business, professional services and sustainability, supply chain, sustainability, supply chain services and technologies, work with the UN and all those sort of things. So, in a big way, what ADEC does is help other organisations on their sustainability journey. But we've also got the side of the business I represent, where we need to look at what we're doing and make sure that our activities are sustainable and we have strong ESG credentials. So what I've decided to talk about, I don't know if we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so first of all, those with a good memory will remember seeing this would remember seeing this from January. So just representing some of the services that we provide in the sustainability space and the BPO space, contact centre space, etc.
Do you want to come up here, Matt?
Yeah, if that'd be easier, if that's okay. Is this on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think just representing some of the things we do, I think at the top there, you've got the SDG wheel, and that's kind of the North Star, really. That's what we're aligning to. We do work supporting the retail sector. We are a signatory to the UN Global Compact, so we report on the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact on an annual basis. And we support UN Habitat. And this is really driven by, I think, the vision and the mission of our CEO, Jim Donovan, who a number of you know and works at those UN initiatives. So what I've chosen to speak about is impact sourcing, which I see that as kind of the intersection between that business services and BPO and the ESG and sustainability, because really impact sourcing is a vehicle that allows you to provide services, but in a way that supports social sustainability. So I've got a picture here, if I could figure out how to move forward. There we go. So what you're looking at here is a picture of one of our newer teams in Kenya. We have operations in various locations around the world. One of those is Kenya, and Kenya is really kind of it's impact sourcing in its most active format, if you like. And our Kenya operation has been recognised by Everest for the last few years for its impact sourcing activities, and we've been listed in Everest's impact sourcing state of the industry report. So what is impact sourcing, and what is it that we do in Kenya that means we're in that report? Well, what we're doing is we are providing opportunities to people that otherwise wouldn't have them, that are otherwise disadvantaged. I thought that the definition that Famiga have come up with, Kerry, was really good, because historically it's talked about poverty quite a lot, and that's kind of a little bit problematic, because how do you define poverty and how do you measure poverty? So it's really about giving opportunities to people that otherwise wouldn't have them, marginalised for some reason. And that doesn't have to be in Kenya, it could be hiring long-term unemployed people in Ireland, but in this example it's Kenya. So what we've been trying to do over the last, I suppose, we've been in Kenya for nearly 10 years. And through our presence in Kenya, the type of work we do, where our office is located, which is actually outside of Nairobi in a semi-rural location, means that it lends itself to impact sourcing. We've got work that's kind of entry-level work for the staff. There's opportunities for them to progress. So starting with some quite simple, very BPO transactional work, but rising up into healthcare services or supporting real estate transactions in the US. So it lends itself to that, and where it's located lends itself to that. What we've been trying to introduce, or have been introducing more recently, is intentionality. I think intentionality is a really important phrase in terms of impact sourcing. So we're looking at what are the goals we're trying to achieve, what's the impact that we're trying to make, how do we measure that impact, and how do we remove barriers to achieving that impact. We've been using, Everest came up with an impact sourcing playbook last year, has a process in it. There's various things in there that are interesting, but a central process, something, acronym ATOM, which is about access, training, onboarding, monitoring. Because if you're trying to hire people you're trying to bring people in that are from a rural background, maybe have been living in poverty, to make the impact that you're trying to make, then how are you going to access those people? Can you recruit them using your normal recruitment methods? Are there going to be barriers built into your recruitment process, such as the IT skills you might need, or the tests you're doing might not lend themselves to that kind of demographic? In terms of the onboarding, how are they going to travel to work? Are they going to have simple things like, do they have clothing that's going to meet your work etiquette policies? So thinking through things like that. And their onboarding is a bit different. Maybe things like office etiquette is not something that is pre-existing in those demographics if you're hiring from there. So we've gone through, this is driven by our local management team in Kenya, looking at those 4 areas of ATOM. One other big thing is upskilling and career development. So you want to be able to bring people in, but then give them a future career and growth. So it's not less transactional. And the team here is a good example of exactly that. So these guys were existing employees. We have a strategic objective across the organisation to look for opportunities that would enable our Kenyan team to be upskilled. So we identified a process, a more complex process that we already did elsewhere in support of basically US, I won't go into the detail of what it is, but US title deed. It's to do with real estate transactions. And we basically brought people in. We got agreement with the client to start doing this process in Kenya, brought people in from elsewhere to train the team up. And long and short of it, they performed remarkably well. So they actually outperformed all the previous teams from our kind of non-impact locations in terms of their speed to proficiency, their levels of quality. So we actually got fantastic business results from it as well. So just a few stats, because we're basically monitoring. The point is we want to make an impact. We want it to be intentional. So it's important that you monitor that regularly so you know what's happening within the business. So just a few stats. So 50% of the workforce within Kenya are female. 66% of our employees come from a rural background, which is one of the things that we're specifically targeting, getting people from those rural backgrounds. Interestingly, 70% of our employees in that BPO operation are the primary breadwinners of their families, and the number of dependents that they have on average is 5.2 dependents per employee, but it goes up to as much as 14 dependents. So you start to see a measurable impact to the community where we're based. So yeah, there's lots of other benefits that we've found. Attrition tends to be, which is the classic thing you hear, attrition with impact sourcing is much lower. It really is. Our attrition is incredibly low, a couple of % a month. So there are, and that brings all sorts of benefits from it. So yeah, so it's been really a success story for us, and one I wanted to share. So thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Simon, did you have slides or you just...
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You just...
That's mine next.
I'll just check.
Yeah. There's the begin button.
There you go. Right.
Thank you. Hi everyone, thanks for having me. I just wanted to give a quick overview of what we do as a business, where we came from, what we strategically try and do, and then what we've tried to achieve with some of our fantastic partners. So let me just try and get this going. Okay, here we go. So we were born in 2016 and we reinvented ourselves during the pandemic. We were traditionally just an ITAD, so IT asset disposition. I know we spoke about electronic waste earlier. We would go out to clients, take away their IT in layman's terms, data sanitize it and sell it. During the pandemic that proved really difficult to do because we couldn't go and pick IT equipment up. So we had to reinvent ourselves. And I think if we didn't do that as an organisation, we wouldn't be here today. So we started working with some of our current clients and decided to really take up the ESG mantle. We rebranded and we started working with organisations, and we started a program called Donate Digital, and we gave 10,000 pieces of equipment out to school kids so they could learn from home. But that was done with the support of the Northern Powerhouse. Let me just move on to the next page. There we go. That was done with the support of Northern Powerhouse, the 7 or 8 councils in the region, some Northumbrian Water, who are one of our partners, and we did a trial pre-pandemic, and the pandemic allowed us to do this. What we have seen from being able to do this with our partners is fantastic growth, and the organisation has changed internally as well. Through the pandemic, we lost 90% of our staff. We had IT technicians and e-commerce technicians as well, and obviously at one point we furloughed those staff and closed down, and those I told those staff to go and get jobs because we didn't know whether we'd be here. But actually we've came back stronger, and we've managed to recruit people who embrace what we want to do. And I think if we look at it from a ESG standard and we go into the environmental section, as a business what we can do is extend the life cycle of those pieces of IT, which obviously stops natural resources being used. Obviously we're all aware that 316 kilos of carbon, 190,000 litres of water, and 1.2 tons of earth are mined just to make one single laptop. So I think that's a phenomenal figure when you talk about how quick an organisation will churn through its equipment. And what we like to do is give that a second life, help with ESG projects. And I think we can, as a group of companies, I think if we look towards standardising and we believe in what we can achieve together, we can achieve much more. And I think that was shown through our Donate Digital campaign with Northumbria Water, Reach, and the councils, that actually when there was a need and everyone pulled together, we're a small organisation, but we could have a big impact and make a big difference. So I think that's the takeaway message for the large organisations in the room. Look at what you're trying to achieve and maybe use your smaller organisations and harness what's already there. I think a good example of us harnessing what we've done from a social aspect is we've worked with NHS hubs, we've worked with local football clubs foundations, and we've embraced that infrastructure, and that's allowed us to have a bigger impact. I think my takeaway from today is trying to also get organisations to know what they want. So when you are procuring, understand what you're trying to achieve and give us a steer. We work with some fabulous companies, but at the outset they don't necessarily know what they want to achieve, and we want to help. We want to help deliver. We try and pledge when we're selling IT, refurbished IT. We try and pledge that 10% of that goes back to helping the environment. But we really need the steer on where those organisations would want that to go. So I think as the relationship develops, we can do that. But we'd love to do that from the outset and contract that up, so it's very clear what we're delivering. I think that's it from me.
Thank you. Dimitri,
I don't have.
just
Yeah.
take to the...
Okay. Yeah.
Take to the...
I don't have any slides, and I think I'm the last. I think I'm the last thing keeping you from lunch, so I'll try to be quite brief. I represent a company called Excedia. We're based in Bulgaria, and we're a technology services company. We've been in business for about 12 years now. And ESG and environmental responsibility has been something that's been important for us for quite a while. 10 years ago, we had to get certified in ISO 14000 for environmental management because some procurement requirements for our customer required it, and there was a bunch of governmental requirements and so on. So we've been this road for quite a while, but what I wanted to talk about today is actually a shift we made a couple of years ago. A shift in the culture in terms of how we focus on ESG and on sustainability and on social impact. And a couple of years ago, we said that we saw that the top-down approach that we were following, that I think a lot of companies are following today, where ESG goals and ESG initiatives come from the senior management of a company, from be it the board or chief sustainability officer or whomever is responsible for that, and then gets translated to initiatives and projects underneath. We saw that while that approach basically helped us check all the boxes when it comes to customers and the procurement processes there and the compliance aspect of it, it didn't maximize the value for our employees and for us as a business, and hence for our customers. So we changed that to we transformed it to a completely 180-degree bottom-up approach. And what that basically means is that for the last couple of years, we stopped caring that much for the metrics set from the top down, but rather than that, we formed a committee, an internal committee within the company that composes of people from a lot of different regions, a lot of different backgrounds. The majority of them are quite young people that have a completely different approach and vision towards sustainability in particular. And what we saw that in just these 2 years, we started executing that approach end of 2022. In 2023, we saw that the amount of initiatives that we executed around social, around environmental impact and so on, they increased. Like, we used to be running like 4 or 5 initiatives a year before that. Now the number is between 15 and 20 initiatives on a single year. In terms of carbon footprint, for instance, beforehand our focus was on things like, we were thinking, how can we improve our carbon footprint? What can we do? And we were thinking about how we can reduce the use of paper and how we can use care about our waste management and things like that. While something that our team came up with last year is that they decided they wanna grow an entire forest. So basically, in the last year, we managed to grow a forest, and the positive carbon offset by that is significantly more than any other improvements that we were able to do before that. So what we realized at that point is that it's not just about the budget that you allocate to these kinds of initiatives and sustainability. It's not just about buying more expensive electricity because it's greener, but it's more about the effort, and it's more about the team. And we saw that by engaging the team, we can create even more impact. And the value that we additionally got as a company from that is that through all these things, that actually impacted our employee engagement significantly. We see that, especially with the new generation, with Gen Zs, this is a huge differentiator as an employer. Like, we managed to attract significantly more talented people, and actually being environmentally and socially cautious and doing all these things actually makes us even more attractive as an employer. So I believe in the long term, we should think about these ESG initiatives not just from ticking the boxes perspective, but also from people perspective, and the fact that they actually create a lot more engagement for the people working at our companies, and they also make us more attractive employers. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, that's going to have huge impact for companies. So yeah, thank you for your time.
So 3 very different examples of ways to do good. So I love the impact sourcing. You know, I'm a huge fan of impact sourcing and the benefits that actually delivers. Is it just in Kenya you're doing it, or are you doing it in different delivery destinations?
It kind of runs through the company, really. So, for example, in Silai, provincial Philippines, where we have an operations centre, we have a school. So we've actually got a school that has a university and a kindergarten, and local people can go through that whole process, which didn't exist beforehand. So that's just an example. I think with Kenya is where we're really trying to apply the established principles, I suppose, and is the spotlight, if you like, of what we're doing.
Yeah, okay. Right, a quick question for you, Simon. It is very close to lunch, so I'm not going to ask numerous questions. So what are the barriers? Why doesn't somebody engage with you and do the right thing?
I think probably there's a lack of what can we do, first and foremost. And we were at the event in Newcastle, and I went to see a procurement team from a council. And we were just throwing ideas about because they didn't know what to do or how to do it. So I think that's the biggest barrier. The organisation understanding what it would like to achieve, and then writing that into however they're procuring to ensure that they can achieve those goals. Maybe there's something. Obviously, I was here for the quick chat on agile sourcing. Maybe there's a way to start bringing this part into that, where you can have conversations and throw them around the room and what the requirement is, because what you don't want is something really standard that everyone just does, because you're not going to have the impact, and every region is different. But I certainly believe that I think organisations need to start adopting it internally, and maybe the bottom-up approach where you start thinking, right, what do we want to do? Okay, that's what we want to achieve, and trying to direct suppliers towards that would help. And I think that suppliers are crying out for that. We would love to know what people want to achieve, even if it's the end goal, not how to get there, because maybe that's where we can help.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that applies for impact sourcing as well. And I really loved what Graham was saying at the beginning, talking about having these shared goals, shared impact goals. I'd love to see more of that, but we're not really seeing it yet. These are goals internally that we're achieving, but we'd love to have that written into our SLAs.
Absolutely. Yeah. If it's clear what we're trying to achieve, we can achieve it.
I think you demonstrated that with your shift in focus, didn't you? So have you actually seen some tangible benefits from customers and from your own attrition rate dropping as a result of changing your philosophy?
Yes. First of all, as I mentioned, it actually helps us. Now it's much easier to tick all the boxes, because the amount of initiatives and the amount of impact that we managed to do is significantly larger this way, and it's much easier to actually deliver it, because the engagement of the team working on this is the motivation is significantly higher. So for us as a business, it's easier for sure. As I said, like in our line of business, keeping your employees happy and engaged is crucial, and the fact that there is a direct correlation between this shift in the way we approach ESG and the employee engagement. We measure staff advocacy scores and compare that versus other metrics, and we see a significant increase in that. And as I mentioned, now when it comes to hiring and talent acquisition, there also we see a huge value, because we especially in the segment of young people for whom we're going to be the first employer, when we compete against other employers for the top talent, we see that nowadays sustainability of the business and overall strategy and visions towards ESG is becoming more and more important factor when a person chooses what the first company they want to work for is.
Do you also find that clients are starting to come to you as well? I know that we've started to have people approach us rather than us going and looking for work. People are coming to us, and you start to work with people that really fit your organisation. So not just the people, but actually partners and clients. Yeah.
I think from the client perspective, they definitely, especially the long-standing customers that we have, they see a huge. They can feel the difference in the engagement, because this is something that the teams are bragging about, basically. So that definitely makes a difference. And I think from the culture perspective, when they're evaluating our culture as a company, which is becoming more and more important, I think, in the sourcing process, that definitely makes a difference. So it is definitely bringing value. It's hard to measure in numbers yet, but I think it is bringing value, and it's going to be even creating more value in the future.
So bringing value, but doing good at the same time, all of you. So thank you all very much for being GSA ESG, that's quite a mouthful, ambassadors, and for sharing. That's the most important thing, is just sharing what you're doing and inspiring everybody else to do something different. So join us for lunch, and we'll discuss it a lot further over lunch. So thank you very much.